Kakadosh, Bokerosh, Shavua Tov, Masechet Zevachim, Daf Yomi, Daf Ayin Zayin, Amud Aleph 77A1. Says the Gemara. We were just talking about that you could use it for
Wood.
L'Shem Etzim, which means the oil, right? You could use it, meaning, when do we say that you're not allowed to use all this leftover? That's when it's going to be like an oil offering. But if you're going to use it as wood, so now kilu, you're using it as wood instead of using it as an oil offering, so therefore it's going to be mutar. So ask the Gemara, ve'aika shiraim debau, right? Debai meliniu. He says there's the shiraim that you have to come and after the kmitzah, you're going to fill them up before the hazah. V'ika hachpurta delo kmitzah lave. And you also have a little bit of the wine, of the oil, sorry, right? That you didn't do the kmitzah. So the Kohen could come and eat how is he going to eat the shiraim, right? So he comes and he says, right? That means one more time. We had a doubt whether it's going to be mitzorah or korban nedava. So it's not going to be permitted unless you do the kmitzah, unless you do the hazaot. So now in this case, you can't do the kmitzah for the shemen which is left over. So answers the Gemara, the parikle. What you did is that you redeem it. So once you redeem it and it comes out to chulin, so therefore that person is now going to say that if he's not a mitzorah, so then the extra shemen is going to be like redeemed on this coin. So therefore there's not going to be a problem. So the parikle hecha, how did you come and you redeem it? Igavai, if it's going to be inside of the azara, kamayin chulin azara. So then you brought in chulin to the azara. Iabrai, if you did it outside of the azara, ifsale biyotze. The second that you took it outside of the bet hamikdash, it became pasul. So when did you redeem this oil? Then now you want to use this oil. You can't. How do you do it? So he says, leolam really bemet begavai. It's inside. Vechulin mimei lahavyan. However, though the isur is that this is chulin, which becomes mimela, which means that after it already came into the bet hamikdash, right? It's still kadosh, and there's no isur to bring in, right? The chulin to meaning like this. The only isur is to bring in chulin to the azara. Here, it was not bringing it in; it's already inside. So since it's already inside, there's no isur of bringing in chulin to the azara. So says the Gemara, V'amar Rabbi Shimon, but says Rabbi Shimon, Emitz nadvin shemen. You never bring a nedava of shemen. You wanted to say, listen, maybe it's a mitzvah, and if it's not a mitzvah, well, 1 second. You're not supposed to bring, right, a nedava of shemen. Yeah?
Don't you bring it with no intent? Or some kind of non...
No. Here it's mamash. You're bringing it like a nedava. So the question is, how do you do it as a nedava? You're not supposed to. So he says, Takune gavra shani. He says, no. Usually on its own, you're never allowed to bring nedava of shemen. But here, since you want to fix the person, because basically it's a question, is it because of mitzvah or because of, so therefore, then it's going to be permitted. Meaning you're right. Normally, you're not allowed to bring a nedava of shemen. Here, it's a special case. So Yati Ram the Rechume, Kamed Ravina. So Rav Yechume was sitting in front of Ravina in the Bet Midrash. Yati Kamed Mishmed Rav Huna Bar Tachlifa. And he was sitting and saying in the words of Rav Huna Bar Tachlifa, the name, why don't you just say Hasham Zeh, Ya Hasham Talui? Why don't you say this Hasham Mitzorah is an Hasham Talui? One more time. You had a question about Hasham Mitzorah or not. So instead of coming and bringing Hasham Mitzorah or Shalmeh, right, a Shlamim, why don't you, the Vav of Hashemin, so why don't you just, because you remember there was a whole thing that on different parts you had to say different things. So here it says, why don't you just say it's an Hasham Talui? Shemami, now we learn from here. Mantana de Paligale de Releze, who's the one that argues on Rabbi Eliezer, right, that a person can be Minadeva and Hasham Talui, Rabbi Shimon hu. Tamar emit and Hasham Talui, which means like this. You remember we brought down that a Chatat and an Hasham you cannot donate. Why can't you donate an Hasham and a Chatat?
Because they're kaparas.
Exactly, it's a sin. Meaning, what? You're going to bring a sin to a child? Kilu, I sinned against you. It doesn't work. So Hasham Talui is that maybe you sinned, maybe you didn't. So he says, so here there's actually going to be a machloket. Can you bring an Hasham Talui as a present or not? Because if it was a mamash and Hasham, a nedava.
No, but it could be some mitzvah may need it. Is that it?
One more time. You have an Hasham. You have an Hasham Mitzorah, but you're not sure if it's Bemet Chayav an Hasham Mitzorah or not. So we had a whole thing, the 1 second, what do you do with all the different korbanot? So we said it's an Hasham Mitzorah, and if it's not a Hasham Mitzorah, it's going to be a Shlamim. Then we came and we said, right, what do you do with the oil? Because a Mitzorah has to bring an oil. The Shlamim doesn't. So then we come and say, okay, you're bringing a korban nedava. We asked, you don't bring a nedava for the oil. So we answered, in order to fix up this guy, we're going to bring the oil. Says the Gemara, why is it that by the Hasham Mitzorah we have a safek? You come and you say it's either a Mitzorah or it's either going to be an Hasham Mitzorah or it's going to be a Shlamim. Just very, very simple. And then we said you go like the chumrah of each one. Do very simple. Bring it like an Hashem Talui.
The Hashem Talui, there is Shemen also or no?
No, it's not going to be an Hashem. It's only for the korban. We're not talking about it's only for the korban part, because we went and we said about the korban part they're going to bring a shlamim. Why a shlamim?
So we can bring we have also the Shemen.
Always the shemen. We're not talking about shemen. Shemen, put it on the side. Shemen is on a side note now. Now we're trying to speak about the korban. We brought down how many pages ago? We brought down. We brought down like this. We went and we said, here it is. We said like this. He says like this. He says, Vimlav Asham ze yeshalmen nedava. Shlamim, which is coming as a nedava. It's not on a korban Hasham at all. So the question is, why are we going to come and tell you that it's going to be, right, instead of being an Hasham metzorah, it's going to be a shalmen nedava, a shlamim, a nedava, just say it's a Hasham talui. Okay? So we answer that it comes out that there's a machloket, one shita holds that you're not allowed to do an Hasham talui as well. Meaning, not only are you not allowed to bring an Hasham as a nedava, you cannot bring an Hasham talui as a nedava as well. Okay? So Elmaleh comes and he tells him, Torah, right? Are you going to tell me that you're a baki b'Torah? Imrei bedichre michalfa lecha. They're going to tell you that kvasim min shana and elim bin shnatayim, right? That is going to be, right, the...
One first year, one second year.
Yes. Okay. What does that mean? The Hasham metzorah is a kevan bin shana, right? So how is he going to come and say that it's going to become now an Hasham talui? An Hasham talui is a ben shnatayim. It's a 2-year-old. So because there's a difference between a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old, so therefore that's why we're not going to come and we're going to allow such a thing. Right? Why? Because then they're going to say, you got mixed up. They're not going to realize what's going on over here. Okay? Fine. Next Mishnah. Ein Zayin Mud Aleph Nu Mishnah. Okay? Fine. Says the Mishnah, Evre Chatat Shenitarvu Bevre Ola, when you have Evadim Ava Chatat, right? Which are eaten by the Kohen, that got mixed up with the Evadim of an Ola. Now remember, the Ola is completely consumed. Okay? Rabbi Eliezer says, Yiten Lemala, right? Yes, to put all of them on the Mizbeach. And then I'm going to look at it at its place. And it seems as if they're wood. And therefore, since it's going to be wood, so therefore, right, there's no problem. Right? Why? Because even though Evrei Chatat, you're not allowed to bring on the Mizbeach, because you have to eat them actually. But here, I'm going to look at it as if it's wood. So if it's going to be wood, it's not actually a korban. And now I'm allowed to bring everything on top of the Mizbeach. Right? So one more time, you understood? Mordechai, taiti. Yeah, Yofi. Old pan. Yesh lecha chatat. Mi ochel et chatat? The Kohen. Yeah, the Kohen eats the chatat. Right? Now, what happens is that a shlamim is eaten by the Baalim, right, in the Kohen. But here it's only eaten by the Kohen. Now, what happens is you have an olah. An olah, the kulo kalil Hashem. Everything gets consumed by Hashem. So now what happens? What happens is that all of a sudden, right? All of a sudden, it gets mixed up. So now if it gets mixed up, I've got a technical issue. What am I going to do now? Right? It got mixed up. I don't know what's an olah, what's a chatat. So he says, bring everything to the mizbeach. He says, one second. The olah, you bring to the mizbeach. No, the chatat. Chatat, you're not allowed to bring to the mizbeach. Right? Why? The Kohen has to eat it. He says, no. I'm looking that the meat of the chatat is now becoming wood. Just like I said that the oil, I could look at it as if it's going to become wood. So too, the meat of the chatat is becoming
Nobody's
wood.
going to eat it?
Right? Nobody's going to eat it. It goes out to the mizbeach, it becomes like wood. No, זה כן ראוי לאכילה, אבל אני מסתכל על זה כמו שזה עצים. זאת אומרת, כמו עצים אני שם על המזבח ואז אין שום איסור, אותו דבר, הבשר הזה זה כמו עצים. אז בגלל שזה כמו עצים, מותר לי להעלות את זה על המזבח. I can bring it up to the mizbeach.
Nobody gonna eat from that, huh?
No, nobody's going to eat. You're not allowed to eat. Maybe it's an olah. Maybe it's an olah. So I do the stringency of both. Okay? Chachamim omrim, says Chachamim, teubar tzuratan. You have to wait until it becomes bad, right?
Not necessarily bad. Just
or whatever, changes color, which means that usually it means it becomes pasur, right? So he says, right, which in a sense is an expression of going off, right? When it changes its color, that's what it is. So he comes over here and it says, right? And he says, and then what happens? Vitzul beta srifa, and then what you do is you just bring it out to the srifat kochim psulim. So according to Chachamim, we don't say the concept of that we look at it as if it's wood, but rather, right, we just say it's you're not allowed to bring it to mizbeach at all. So what do? You take it, and now it's going to be right burnt in the beta srifa, as beta srifa. So it says,
Wait.
well, one day, the next day, yeah, one day, right until the next day. Once it comes the next day, now you're allowed to do this.
Yeah, for the same day.
No, you're not supposed to. You can't burn it the same day. So you have to wait until the next day. Because anyway, it says here in the footnote that at the end of the day, which is actually Rashi and Psachim, that it becomes pasul because of lina. So therefore, so then why are you burning it? Because of notar, leftovers. So that's what happened.
A purpose for no time.
Yeah, you're purposely doing it. You're 100%. You're purposely doing it. Well, obviously in this case, you're allowed to. That's what you're supposed to do. Okay? So, says the Gemara, my tamad Rabbi Eliezer. What's the reason? Rabbi Eliezer, one more time. You had a machloket here in the Mishnah between Rabbi Eliezer and Chachamim. So the question is, what's the reasoning of Rabbi Eliezer? So he says, Amakar, the Pasuk says, Ve'ela mizbeach lo yalu l'reach nichoach. To the mizbeach, it's not going to go up like a reach nichoach. L'reach nichoach yatamale, aval atamale, l'shem yitzim. You can't bring it up as a reach nichoach, but you could bring it up as wood. Meaning, you cannot come and bring up this chatat as a reach nichoach, but it's not a reach nichoach. It's supposed to be eaten by the Kohanim. But it could go up as what? As etzim, as wood. V'rabbanan. So according to rabbis, what do they learn? He says, Miet rachmana otam. Otamu de'ati diyatamale, aval atamale l'shem etzim av midei achdin lo. Which means like this. He says, all the shiurei korbanot, which is the leftovers of the korbanot, that's what we're talking about. So therefore, right, the seor and the dvash, which is part of the korban reshit, which is basically the yeast and the honey, so therefore, which is written in the pasuk, that is what you're going to bring up as that you're not going to bring it up as reach nichoach, but you can bring it up for etzim. But he says, b'midei achrinim, but anything else you cannot bring it up as a korban etzim, and therefore, if you can't bring it up as etzim, so therefore you have to burn it. So that's what's happening here. But Rabbi Eliezer, so what does Rabbi Eliezer do with the word otam? Otam was a minimization. So what does he do with it? So he says, otam hu deravai lach keves. Kevesh kamizbeach. He says the word otam is coming to include what we learned, ve'ela mizbeach lo ya'alu, which means that even bringing it up to the kevesh is going to be a sud, just like you're not allowed to bring it up to the mizbeach. Which means when you go up the ramp is the kevesh. So you're not allowed to bring it up to the ramp, just like you're not allowed to bring it up to the mizbeach. But any other type of the leftovers of the korbanot, right? Lo, there's no isur, right, whatsoever. The Rabbanan, and according to the rabbis, that they come and they say that only seor and dvash are going to go for etzim, for the wood. So what is it? So he says tarti shemamina. It's actually coming to teach you both things. Otam is two different things, right? Which basically is coming to say otam is talking about the shiraim, right? It's going to exclude the shiraim from the kevesh hamizbeach, and it's also going to exclude the shiraim from the eter of l'shem etzim, right? That you can't bring it up as wood either. So matnit in our Mishnah is the lo k'aytana. It's not like this Tana. Why? The Tanya we learned to the Braita. Amar Rabbi Yehuda says of Yehuda. Lo nechleku Rabbi Eliezer v'chachamim. Rabbi Eliezer and Chachamim are not arguing. Al evrei chatat shnitaru b'evrei olah. That when you have the evarim of chatat and evarim of olah that they get mixed up together, sheyikrevu berova, right? Berovea v'nirba. That it's going to be brought as what? As a for etzim. And also lo nechleku berovea v'nirba shelo yikrevu, that it's not going to be brought. So al ma nechleku. So one more time. According to what we just mentioned now,
A whole nother understanding, a whole nother version.
This Rabbi Yehuda, that means that's why we say our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda has a completely different limud that he says that there's no machlok between them.
Yeah.
Meaning, if somebody comes and tells you, is there a machlok between Rabbi Eliezer and Chachamim to do with evrei chatat and evrei olah that get mixed up together? The answer is no. There's no machloket. They say yikrevu, bring it, right? You should bring it up to the mizbeach for the shem etzim. So, according to Rabbi Yehuda, there's no machlok between them. So obviously our Mishnah is not going according to Rabbi Yehuda. But once we brought this down, we're bringing down the rest of it as well. So we're talking about rovea nirba. We're talking about the evarim of a rovea or nirba. We're talking about an animal that was done bestiality to it, whether it was the male or the female. That's the rovea nirba. Right? The rovea is the one that's doing the action. The nirba is the one that's receiving the action. Shelo yikrevu, that you're not supposed to bring it up. So alman echleku, so what is the machloket? Al evrei olah tmima, on the evarim of an olah tmima, shnintarvu bevrei balat mum. To do with an evrim of an olah that got mixed up with an evarim of a bal mum. Right? Rabbi Eliezer says Yikruv v'roen lemala kilo, and it's that you do bring it up and you just look at it as like for wood. Right? Chachamim say lo yikrevu, don't bring it up. Why? Because at the end of the day there's a balmum here. So don't bring it to the mizbeach. You have to take it out to get burnt. So that's the machloka between them. So again, one more time. According to that means our Mishnah is not like according to Rabbi Yehuda. right? So says the Gemara, right? Rabbi Eliezer, and according to Rabbi Eliezer, Maishna rovea v'nirba de lo chazu, palat mum nami lo chazu. One second. And now that we have a new pshat in Rabbi Eliezer Chachamim, now we're going to ask on them. According to Rabbi Eliezer, one more time, there's no machloket by the evarim of a chatat and ulad, they got mixed up, right? So when is the machloket, right? He says by the rovea v'nirba, right? Also, shelo yikrevu. Now why? If you're going to tell me that the rovea nirba shelo yikrevu, right? Why de lo chazu? So balat mum is also lo chazu. It's also not fitting. So if it's not fitting, according to Rabbi Eliezer, what's the svara? Everyone understood? One more time. According to Rabbi Eliezer, what is the logic to come and to say that by rovea nirba you don't bring it up? Why? It's not fitting.
It's just disgusting. You know what I mean? It's really
Yeah. So he says balmum is also sinning. Balmum,
not as bad.
Fine, but he's saying it's also not fitting. So says the Gemara in Zayin Mubet 77b. Amar Ravuna says, Badokin Sheba'ayin. No, you know what Balmum we're talking about? He says Balmum is mamash, the cataract of the eye. It's mamash a little. So he says, Valiba Rabbi Akiva according to Rabbi Akiva. To Amar that he says, Imalu lo yirdu. That according to Shkat Rabbi Akiva, the second that it went up, you don't bring it down.
I think if it doesn't
right?
have a leg, you know what I mean?
Exactly, that's a big one. But here we're talking about mamash, something so small you don't even realize it. Okay? So Amar Damar Rabbi Akiva, when did Rabbi Akiva say that? Diavad, only b'diavad. Right? This is the avad. By the way, this is the terminology of b'diavad. Right? Di avad. Right? B'di avad. If you already did that. Aval lechatchila miyamar. But when did Rabbi Akiva never said that lechatchila. Meaning here we're doing a lechatchila. What's going on? So he says, Amar Rav Papa says, what are we dealing with? It's already on the ramp. So since it's already on the ramp, kilu doesn't come down anymore. So it's already the b'diavad. But it didn't go up to the mizbeach, but it already went up the ramp. So says the Gemara, Yehachi, if so afilu benayu. So therefore, even if the evarim are by themselves, even without the tarovet of the evret mimim, meaning like this, if you're going to tell me right now that it's already on the ramp, so even without being mixed up with the good animal, the fact that you had a balmum, but the balmum was only cataract in the eye, you would also bring it up to the mizbeach. It's already on the kevish. It's already in the ramp. You're telling me that, it's already in the ramp. One second. If it's already in the ramp, why did you have to need it to get mixed up with a kosher animal? Even without getting mixed up with a kosher 100% animal, you still would have brought it up, but it's already on the ramp. So he says, Ella tamed Rabbi Eliezer, but really the reasoning of Rabbi Eliezer is miyet rachmana, but it says mum bam. Mum bam udulo yiratzeh, halide tarovet yiratzu. It says when there's a mum in it, it's not going to be good for us. But if it's going to be through a tarovet, meaning that it's going to be a mixture, so therefore it is going to be good for us. So you see from here that Rabbi Eliezer is coming and teaching us that the Torah is making a special dirasha that when it gets mixed up with a kosher animal, so therefore it's going to be good. So says the Gemara, wow, what do Rabbanan do with this? For Rabbanan, mum bam, hu de lo yiratzu, hamum, right? Ha'avar, mum, right? Yiratzu. So what's going on then? So the rabbis, what they learn is like this. When it's going to be mum bam, right, that the mum is still in it, hu de lo yiratzu, it's not going to be good. Ha'avar, right, mum. If the mum already left it, so yiratzu, it is going to be good. That means the chidush is that we're not going to say that since it was a surim, as long as it's balmum, now it's already it's like a dichui forever. It's like it's pushed off forever, right? There's no dichui forever. So he says Rabbi Eliezer, but according to Rabbi Eliezer, he learns this from bam bahem, meaning that since the Torah says moshchatam bahem mum bam, right, in it and in it, which is two exclusions. So bam is coming to exclude when the tarovet, when it's going to be with the tarovet, it's going to be good. And from the word by him, it's going to come and tell you that if it's avar mumo, it's also going to be okay. Which means if the blemish went away, now it's still going to be a good.
Against the sages.
Yes. But according to the rabbis, bam bahem lo darshe, they don't make such a dirasha. Meaning, since they don't make such a dirasha, so there's only one exclusion. So if according to Shittat Rabbi Eliezer, he says that whenever it comes with a tarovet, it's going to be good. So he said like through a mixture. So therefore, why did he say ro'eh? Right? What does that mean? Ro'eh ani, like I'm looking at it as if ki'ilu etzetzim. Harachman achshere. According to you, the Torah permitted it. Because the Torah said that it's going to be okay. So if the Torah said that it's going to be okay, why do I have to say, Ro'eh ani, I look at it ki'ilu, that it's like wood. Well, I look at it ki'ilu. The Torah said it's fine. So says the Gemara, ledivrehem kamalu. He's saying according to their shita. Right? What does that mean? Right? Lididi, according to me, Rachmanach Shere, the Torah permitted it. But according to you, at least be modeh that you could just say that the basar that's balat mum goes up. It's like wood. Midiyama basar chatat, just like a basar chatat. For Rabbanan, but the rabbis come and say no. Hacha meise, here when it's a balmum, it's like ma'us. This is what Richard tried to say at the beginning. He probably was cheating, but it's okay, right? Which means that he was a balmum, which
No,
means it's
he said made it
disgusting.
up.
Ah, you made it up. Kol hakavod, kol hakavod. Right? Vehatam, and over here, right? It's lo meise. It's not going to be ma'us, which means that if it's already going to get mixed up, right, and it's going to go up as a shem and tzim, then it's not going to be considered ma'us. But if it's going to be right the ba'alat mum, it is going to be considered ma'us.
Once it's part of a mixture.
Yes, once it's a mixture, it's not a ma'us anymore. It's not disgusting. Okay, next Mishnah. Mishnah in Zayin Amubet, the first one. Okay, Evarim be'evarim ba'ale mumin. When you have evarim with evarim that got mixed up, ba'ale mumin. So you've got evarim of olat tamima, right? Timot rabot that got mixed up with the evarim of an olah, which is the ba'al mum. Okay, so evarim be'evarim ba'ale mumin. Rabbi Eliezer says, "Im karav rosh echamen." If you're going to bring one head, yikavu kol harashim. Bring all the heads. Why? Because we learned this already. Tolin. What is tolin? I'm going to say that the one that you already brought was the bad one. So if the one that you already brought was a bad one, now you can bring all the other ones. Kraim shelechamen, you can call a kraim. Chachamim come and say, no, afilu karav kulam chutz mechamen. Even if you brought all of them except for one, yetzeh lebet hasrifa. You have to take it out to get burnt.
Take what out?
No, the rest of what you're doing, whether it's heads or the kraim or whatever it is that you have.
Take it off the mizbeach?
Which one?
Take it
No,
off.
no, 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 no. We're talking about that it didn't go on to the mizbeach.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You come and you take it out to get burnt. That is shita chachamim. So according to Rabbi Eliezer, you'd say tolim. Tolim means I'm going to make it dependent that whatever went up was the pasul, and all the rest is going to be okay. And according to this one, you don't say this. So says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Elazar, says Rabbi Elazar, Lo yechshir Rabbi Eliezer ela shnaim shnaim. When did Rabbi Eliezer say that it's going to be kosher? Only if you bring 2 by 2s. Why? Because that way it's always going to be one head, which is probably going to be kosher, and it's going to be safek. So since it's going to be a safek, so then you could say tolim. Aval echad echad, but if it's going to be 1 by 1, you can't say that. No. Right? Why? Because maybe you're only bringing the yisur. Right? We already learned this as well. So Mativ Rabbi Yirmiyah asked the following question: even if you're going to bring all of them except for one, that last one you have to bring it to the Bet Srefa. What's going on? So he says, Amar lo Rabbi Yaakov le Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Tachlifa asvira lecha mai. What does it mean? Mai echad. What does it mean echad? One zug echad. We're talking about one pair. We're not talking about one individual one, because that, according to everybody, you can't do it. It's talking about one zug, one pair, right? That you're not going to be able to do. Okay.
It's here, according to the stages. You don't assume the limbs of the blemished animal were burned, even if most of the limbs were already
Exactly. That
burned.
means you don't
They
take
have to,
tolim.
therefore, be burned in the place of the temple courtly for invalidated.
Exactly.
Take them off, it says.
You don't say tolim.